Welcome, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your producer and host of the show, Dr. Lino Martinez. This is your motivational podcast of people's incredible journeys. Oh, yeah, let's do this. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. Today, I would love to welcome, and I'm going to make sure I do this slowly so that I don't mess up her name, but it's Gao Motsemme. Did I say that correct? Gao.
Absolutely.
Gao Motsemme.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. APMG Change Management Certified. She speaks English, Deutsch, and Setswana. A mother of three, a human MRI psychic surgeon. I love the sound of that. Freedom Illuminator embodiment queen, devoted to helping individuals break free from patterns of generational toxic relationships and imprints. Tap into the unwavering self-love and radiate true confidence. I love this. I want to radiate true confidence. And what can our listeners learn? Here we are with Gao, the Queen. Welcome to A Little Less Fear podcast.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Lino. I'm very happy to be here and I'm excited for the moment.
This is really amazing. And you're all the way in Germany right now, correct?
Yes, I'm in Germany.
That's really incredible. Well, I'm in the United States. I'm in California. I think it's really amazing and beautiful that we can connect because of the internet. We're able to connect for such far distant miles and bring in our minds and our energy to share with the world. It's really an amazing connection that we can do here.
Yes.
So, Gao, I've learned, so I was on your website, which is an incredible website, everybody. She has a really beautiful video there and where you can lean into some of the things that she does to help people and how she helps people. And I see here that you help people who have felt lost, exhausted, didn't know what to do, who they are, where to start, break free from generational toxic relationships. You'd also talk about leaning into and learning what true power is. You also have experience with African ancient quantum medicine, and you love helping people tap into unwavering self-love and radiate true confidence. This is really amazing. I'm curious what brought you to where you are at today. I know it's a loaded question. It's always such a loaded question, but wherever you want to start.
It is. And I'm going to start by sending my greetings to the audience. So, Dumelang Lokai. And Dumelang, it's agreed. Those are the greetings in my native language. I come from Botswana in Southern Africa. So Dumelang direct translation is agreed. Lokai is basically where are you? And as much as I'm greeting you, I'm also asking you a question. When you are showing up every time at A Little Less Fear podcast, what are you agreeing to? And even when you're listening to this, what are you agreeing to? What called you here? And Lokai, as in like, where are you? Are you fully here with us, mind, body, and soul? Or part of you is thinking about something that you feel in this shouldn't have, wouldn't have, couldn't, can't, all those things. What are you resisting? And as I'm saying and asking you all this, I just invite you to be here with us. And that is, take just a deep breath and connect to the body. I love this podcast name, A Little Less Fear. And even when you're taking a breath and connecting to your body, whether you hear little less fear or you just connect to the fear, where are you feeling that in your body? There is a lot of information, and I know there have been amazing experts in this podcast, and I know you are amazing and you know a lot of things. But one thing that I know is that information does not transform our lives. So when I say, where are you connect to your body? My invite is, may you open to your body and allow your body to communicate with you rather than you telling it what to feel. Be in the moment, feel the sensation. Maybe you'll feel the triggers. Maybe you will feel that orgasmic energy coming through as we're going on, but you're just going to be open and allow the body to lead you, to communicate with you, not the other way around. Because when we know too much, we often go to the files, the history. But when you are in the present moment and listening to the body and allowing it to communicate with you, you are in the present moment and connecting to the field. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I love this. What are you agreeing to? What an excellent question. What are you agreeing to? The moment you wake up, what are you agreeing to? When you're talking to somebody, what are you agreeing to? When you and I are on this podcast, what are we agreeing to? And also, when you're in awareness of what you are agreeing to, then you can actually become more purposeful and intentional in your actions. Because if you ask yourself that question, then you're able to make action based on awareness. And you can only become aware if you ask yourself that question. What am I actually agreeing to, rather than being automatic with things?
And it's quite interesting. I'm just going to drop this in the beginning because yesterday I posted this and I was just like, I don't know where it was coming from. But I was talking about the patriarchal God. So even when you're talking about God, what does that even mean? You know? And when you're talking about whatever, whether it's you believe in God or even being a religious person or non-religious, do we ever look at it to say, where is this coming from? Or even if I'm going, for instance, I come from a family that more like religious based, but I'm spiritual but not religious. That's the difference. But
Yes.
I had to ask myself about the patterns that I was born into. And I had to question that, even if it's like a church or whatever you call it. The question is, the person who formed that, what was their intention? And what am I agreeing to if I just come into that and I just follow through with whatever that was, which is a big part of the templates that we were born into. And I'm going to continue with that, answering your question of what brought me here.
Yeah.
Yeah. What brought me here is basically, like you said, how the queen, I was born a queen. And I knew why I was here just from the beginning. But as much as I knew and I was like, hey, what's going on? And coming in with whatever that I knew, I was born in a very traditional family where it's kind of like, stop right there. We don't know what this is all about, but this is who you get to be, and I had this dance between me and my mom where in her words she was like, you are not like any of my children. She didn't like that. And I said, I'm not supposed to be like any of your children. That's why my name is different. So I was very outspoken with who I am, or me fighting for it. But along the way, because we always want to fit in, along the way, I think I forgot. The wound was way too loud. And I found myself in relationships where there was that toxicity, or should I say, where I was basically repeating the same patterns that I was born into, the patterns that no one wanted to talk about. I came across that in romantic relationships. I came across that in my professional workplace. And what really brought me where I am was the moment where everything that I had, one or the other, disappeared. I lost my corporate job, which was a big part of my identity, and as much as I was like, okay, fine, now I'll see what I'm going to do because I have to fight for my children. I had 2 children by then when I lost my corporate job. At almost like 30. It's kind of like my life turned around when I turned 30. And shortly after my mom got sick and later she passed on, my younger brother had an accident, which I saw, by the way, before it even happened, which is kind of like the crazy thing that I've always debated with me and God. Why the fuck do you show me something if there is nothing that I can do about it? I've always had that question.
Yeah, why
because
am I
I
seeing
always
this?
saw things, that happened, but mostly it was bad things. So I was like, what about the good things? I mean, there were good things, but mostly it was the bad things and they ended up happening, and as much as I was holding into the role of being a mother, when shortly after I went through the judicial injustice that ended up separating me with my 2 children, and I was at a point where I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was fighting for. I was lost. I felt hopeless. I felt shame because as women, we have been conditioned that Our children is what esteems us. We are esteemed by the role of being a mother. There are many women who can't have children. I know now we can say that it's better. Things have changed. Back in the days, a woman who couldn't have children, especially where I come from, you didn't have any right to have that husband. They can either marry somebody who can give that man children, or you get divorced. And I know going back in history, some women were even banned for not having children. It's a pain that we carry. So it's through that wound of judicial injustice that I didn't know, but when I didn't know when it was happening, but I remember the time when I sat down in that whatever that was happening, the words that came through was, who are you without your mother, your father, your house, your job, all the things that
Exactly. Who are you? What is
identified
your
you.
identity without any of those things?
And the last question was, who are you without your children? And at that moment, that pen was like I'm holding on a hot charcoal. It was burning me. I threw it down. And I said, but who am I? And I started crying. And through that, a lot of things happened. But the message was, it's time for you to do what you came here to do.
Wow. So an awakening of some sort, huh?
It was an awakening.
And then when you finally had this awakening, you came here to do what you are meant to do. What was the answer? What are you here to do?
That's a good question, because a lot of things were revealed at once, but it was mostly scary. Scary in the sense of it had to do with like teaching the word of God as God. Like that's like how it came through. You are here to share the word of God as God. And I was like, me, God. And I was like looking at my whole unworthiness and holiness. And I'm like, no, you're talking to the wrong person. And it's kind of like, you are the flipping right person. But at the end of the day, in my consciousness, because it's kind of like I was going into trance with all that. And I said, but if I go to people, where do I start? What do I tell them? Teach them a new way of being.
I love it. Teach them a new way of being.
Yeah.
And that new way of being, what is the new way of being?
That's a good question. A new way of being is, like we say, there are so many things that described who we were.
To
And a new
describe who
way
we
of
were?
being is, yeah, like for instance, go to school, get all this whatever accolades,
Titles
all
and
that, get married, buy a house, and all that. It's not like that's how life is gonna be. And when you look at it, first thing, like there's just a lot of things. When you look at it, who you are or who we thought we were was first defined by the family that we were born in, by the society, by the tribe, by the political system, education system, religious system, all these things, right? So when you disconnect, like I said, when I was writing all this, when you disconnect from all this that you thought you were, when you are stripped of everything, what is remaining? That is you finding out and defining who you are and how you get to live your life, including what success is to you. That is aligning with our unique truth.
Right. What is success to you? That is in alignment with your unique truth.
Yeah.
Your unique truth, meaning once you actually strip away all the checklists that society puts us and cages us in, and when you are able to remove yourself from a checklist, what is your authentic energy and what are you here to do to be able to serve that energy within yourself and to give to others and also receive?
Absolutely. Because first thing, it starts with us. If you are not fully embracing who you are, then what are you going to be doing? It's kind of like, because when you look at it, the way we live life, it was more like what is expected from me, as in like looking at your family, the society and all that. And we go and do what is going to esteem us in the society, not necessarily what turns us on. But when we connect to ourselves and follow that desire, follow that sexual energy, which is one of the things that when you look at the core beliefs, whether it's cultural, societal, even religious, it's one of the things that has been shut down, which disconnected us from ourselves. We are born into shame. We have been taught that who we are is we are naturally born as a sin, that's like the conditioning that we marinate in. We believe that. And I was speaking one of the summit the other time, it was like Queen's Awakening. And I said, sometimes we have to ask ourselves these questions. If you believe that you're a queen, but at the same time, your beliefs when it comes to spirituality is that you're a sinner, the two don't go together.
No.
So we have to question some of these things. What
Right.
are you saying? What is your truth? Because you are also confusing the universe. In one moment, I'm a queen, in 1 second, I'm a sinner, and all that bullshit.
Right. Yeah,
So we need to
exactly.
question these things.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of people are not questioning these things because we're in this pattern, as you talk about generational pattern and also societal pattern and cultural pattern and demographic pattern. Like we're in these patterns and really kind of almost in a way robotically just moving through life rather than actually taking a stance, stepping out of the pattern, out of the herd mentality and looking in and being, hang on a minute, I've got my own authentic energy here. And what am what am I agreeing to? Going back to the beginning, what are
Yes.
you agreeing to?
Yes.
We are able to see then what you are agreeing to. Are you agreeing to yourself or are you agreeing to others?
Which also leads to, I would say, manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Often we claim, this is like the
Yeah,
belief
right.
that I believe is
Interesting.
universal. Oh, I'm being hurt because I love too much. That's the only problem that I have. Shush. You don't love too much.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you love yourself that much, you would align with somebody who can give you that love at that level. When you love
Yeah.
yourself enough, you stop making excuses of other people's shortfalls. You stop wearing the rescuer mask and a lot of things, all the people pleasing and the needing validation and all that. But when we are loving from the wound, we're just gonna tolerate shit and sit there
Oh yeah.
and make up excuses, and then we're hurt and it's kind of like, no, because I love too much. When we don't love ourselves enough, which is coming from, I'm gonna love you with everything that I have. I'm gonna give you everything that I have. I know you need me. Without me, you can't survive. But then when I do all these things, I want you to love me back. We want something in return, because when it comes to love, love is, I'm gonna love the shit out of you. Even if you walk the fuck out of here, I still fucking love you. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay if you choose to leave me. And people
Mm-hmm.
right now, people are in very toxic relationship, very toxic marriages, because they are bound by duty, which is dutiful, the obligation, I said forever and all that. This is somebody who I went through a divorce I don't know, 5+ years ago here in Europe. And my soul was dancing while I was going through that process.
Mm-hmm.
My human was scared. There were many women. And I remember one connecting with one voice that was kind of like angry, but the question was just simple. What do you really want? It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, at some point I was even confused, like, what do I really want? But it was this influence that is coming from the fear. Say, if you have somebody who can maybe take you to Paris, on those vacations and buy you
Mm-hmm.
something, then you just have to abide and do whatever that they want you to do. And what that costs us, it costs us our voice, our identity, our purpose. Because as much as my marriage was like kind of like 70% okay, but 30% it was gonna be my purpose. And without that, I would be just existing but not be fully alive. And many
Mm-hmm.
people are very talented, but they're not using that.
Because a lot of people are doing exactly what you just said, which is just existing
Yeah.
and not really being alive. What does it mean to be alive? So to be alive, what I'm gathering from this, in order for us to really be alive, we have to really come into the communication of ourselves, our body. Get to learn our body. What is our body telling us? What is the energy within us communicating? Rather than us telling our body is telling us. Our body is our inner compass, our North Star. And so when we can start to follow our inner navigation system, inner navigation tools, we are then able to live more authentically and fully in collaboration with our true energy. And in doing that, we are then able to escape the prison system that we've created within our own context, and we are then able to set ourselves free and truly live from a heart space rather than a cold, shadowy corner.
Absolutely. And the way I was given this acronyms, death, I was just told, go help people to heal the death of the feminine. And I'm like, okay, not feminine as like women or whatever, like the death of the feminine for both us, men and women. And the D was basically the soul desires. Are you gonna?
So death to heal the feminine. Go
Yeah,
and heal the death of the feminine, which is mostly encompassing feminine energy, which is an energy field that is not exclusive to male or female. It's just an
yeah,
energy.
yeah.
Okay. And so then
And here's
heal
the
the
thing.
feminine.
Sorry?
Heal the feminine. Go ahead. What's the thing?
Yeah. What blows my mind, even when I talk about healing the death of the feminine, before we can even go into that, what the death acronym mean, first thing we have to die. That symbolic death. We have to die to who we thought we were for us to even be able to access that. Right? And when we die, like in that darkness, in that death, in that nothingness, that's when we can connect to that desire, the desires of the soul. That's the D, what D stands for. You can either listen to that or deny it. And then the other E is our emotions. Emotions are the evidence of life.
I love it. It sure is.
Yeah.
So desires
So
of the soul. Go ahead. Emotions.
Yeah, so if you don't connect to those emotions and allow the emotions to guide us, because there's like we have made emotions like this bad guy and all that, but when you look at it, emotions, when we are not free to express ourselves, to fully feel and all that, then something is not right. When we are not in alignment, we'll feel that discomfort, right? It's kind of like a compass that also tells us that
Right.
here you are not being yourself, you are not comfortable, because when you are free to be you, you are also free to allow all of you to be present, which is one of the things that I love to do when I say pull the chair for all aspects of yourself, whether it's sadness, grief, anger, shame. We're going to pull the chairs for all these aspects. And the question is, even when we are relating with other people, whether it's business professional or whatever, the people around us, how comfortable are we to be ourselves, or we just gonna be continuing life wearing the mask, So connection to the emotions, and then the A is that alignment.
I love it.
When we are aligned, we can feel it in our body. One thing that I live by, even when it comes to this, I believe the level that you are fully free is the level that you are fully joyful, and that is the level that you are fully loving. So you know it when you are in alignment, because you are free to be yourself. You are free to serve, because being of service is not about, I'm a coach, I'm a healer, I'm whatever. We are always at service in every moment. And by being of service is being open and truthful to the people around us. Sometimes I can meet you, Dr. Lino, and I'm just like giving you a hug, and it's just amazing. I compliment you. And there's a time when I'm going to give you a kick in the butt and I'm saying, wake up. That's also being of service. But at times we want to be loved so much that we are not serving the people around us. And the T is that truth. Is it our truth, or is other people's truth? Our even being truthful to ourselves. And the H will just determine the heaven or the hell that you're gonna experience in life.
Oh, wow. Heaven or hell. This is really incredible. So this acronym is an acronym that you use to help people. The acronym of death. Where do you use this acronym? How do you use it in your life?
This is it's quite interesting, because I've been given this, I think, for 4 years, and this year it came through as time for the dark feminine to awaken. And it's quite interesting because I've been using other things, another journey, which is like 5S, that I've been using to take people through the sacred sovereignty, soul confidence, sacred intimacy, and then the sacred embodiment, and then sacred, So I've been using the other 5S as a framework. And this one is the deep one that like really goes to the womb, basically, when you're talking about this. And the Hara for men is the journey that I'm intending to take people through in the next 8 weeks. I haven't decided the date. And the reason being, this thing came through to me, I think it was 2 nights ago. So today's my daughter's birthday. She's turning
Oh, happy
7.
birthday to her.
Yeah, she's 7 years old. And here's
Wow,
another
that's
story.
beautiful.
When I talk about my journey of being separated from my children, I experienced that 10 plus years ago. And then I was with my now ex-husband, who was a pillar. He was very supportive. And guess what? 3 years ago, he took me through the same story where I got to be separated from my daughter. And as I navigated the second round of that, I
I
could
see
feel that,
this. This is
yeah.
incredible. You know, as you're saying this, Gao, so when you became separated from your daughter, correct? And then and before that, you're basically what you're telling us are the different times that we experience death. That's amazing. And that's what where this acronym can help people because we're all gonna have little deaths within our life.
And it's quite interesting because I never connected the two until this moment that, like I said, 3 years ago, and probably it's the 3 years ago when I received this Heal the Death of the Feminine. And
Mhm.
I've never acted on it. And I know this is where my book is gonna come from. Like this also came as a download not so long ago. And today on his on her birthday, 7th birthday, that's when I'm like, now I'm ready to take this work to the people, to dive deep into the womb, the magic of the womb, which is going back to the whole patriarchal, the whole, like I say, the womb is a place of creation, is a place where everything comes to life. And if at
Yes.
all we do not nurture our womb and we open the space for anyone and everyone, it becomes a tomb where our dreams die within us while we are still here.
Wow, that's incredible. Nurture our creation, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that you've meant. Well, first I want to just so our listeners can remember the acronym here for the acronym for death, because we're all going to have deaths within our life, many deaths, and a really beautiful acronym here that how has presented to us was the acronym for death. D are desires of the soul. E are emotions, the evidence of life, allows emotions to guide us. A, alignment, we feel it in our body. We are free to be ourselves, open and truthful to ourselves and people around us. This is being of service to others, which makes sense to me. You're not being of service to others if you're not being truthful to yourself. And T, truth, our truth or others' truth. And H, is this going to be an experience of heaven or hell in your current life? Correct? I love this. I
And
absolutely love this.
And here's the thing, and another thing again of not following our truth, right? Um, I remember I can't remember whether it was, but over a year ago, I was working with someone and I said, "This is what I wanna create." It was a business mentor, and I said, "This is what I wanna create," and she said, "No, who's gonna listen to you when you're talking about death?" And I'm like, "Death? We flipping." And because I was laughing as well when after I was giving this, I was dead, like I was flipping, like I'm like, "You fucking kidding me? You want me to go to the people and tell them we're gonna dive deep on death and everything?" And it was funny because when I dove deep, when I was receiving the code for this, it was quite interesting because death is one of the things that we are afraid of, yet it's something that we can't run away from, right? Whether it's physical death or just symbolical death, it's something that one way or the other we are called to learn to embrace it. But the question is, are we relating with it from that separation consciousness where we separated it from the wholeness, from the wholeness or even the holiness of it, right? And we just viewed it as like something bad is happening. There is then the evil,
Right.
Satan is coming here, and that kind of thing. But it's still a process of life that is also rich in its own way. As we go through different experiences, we realize that when part of us dies, and then there is a new aspect of ourselves that's imagined, that is even much stronger and powerful, and that remembers more of who we are. But
Yeah.
when we resent it, that's when it gets to be painful. Even when we lose somebody that we love and we don't want to embrace it. For instance, I went through, like I said, a back and forth relationship with my mom, which was, I believe I am my mother. Like, this is who I was. But because of where she was, how she was raised, they suppressed who she truly is. And because she didn't embrace all this badass aspect of herself, because it was not culturally or societally acceptable, then she resented that in me. But when now on the other side, she is one of my guardian angels. We relate even better. She understands me. She's rooting for me. But it's through death that she got to understand. I wish people, like, one thing that she said it would be nice if more people can work on that stuff and heal while they're still here. How awesome would it be for us to experience this relationship while we are still together in the physical reality? We don't have to wait until somebody dies. But even if somebody is dead, there can still be that experience of like really relating differently. So it's both for life and still for death.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why death is a rebirth.
Yeah, it is, right?
Absolutely. I love what you said. Right now you said within your sentences that when you die, when you have these small little deaths within our current life, you get to know yourself a little better. So through death, you get to know who you are even more.
Yeah. Because and who other people are even, right? Which is something that also blows my mind, because when you look at it, every experience that we've had, no matter how challenging it was, it also filtered some people. Because when we're going through that darkness, that whatever, not everybody is going to be present. And we always actually, at times, we are just angry, like, oh, you're not my friend, you're not there, and all that. Instead of just being grateful for the time that you were friends with those people, and you know that you are also entering another version of your life where those people are not meant to be part of it. Even when you're going through that darkness, it's a sacred time. It's not everyone who's meant to be in it. Some people will be present, some people won't. And how beautiful will it be for us to open our heart and wish them well? The same thing with relationship, with divorce, marriages, and all that. Because I was laughing at this when I talk about being separated from my daughter and what happened with my ex-husband. At first, let me say, before the whole separation with my daughter, a part of me was still, I wanted to hold on, because I was like, he's a nice guy. I was like, yeah, but if he can just change this, he had problem with alcohol, so I was holding to that alcoholism part. If he can just change this, and I was still holding into that even after I was told. Because another thing was, like, in one of my meditation, what came through was, what part of you has a problem with his drinking? And like, my ego was
What
like,
part of you has a problem with his drinking? That's a good question. What part of you? And what did you discover?
my ego part was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because alcohol and stories. And at the time, I just got this download. It's not about him. It was never about the man that I attracted. My inner child was looking for its father. I was
It
attracted.
was inner child. It was your inner child that was seeking for, what was your inner child seeking?
My father.
Oh, your father.
He had problems with alcohol. So I met people who had the same problem that my father had. And at the core, a part of me wanted to rescue them. Maybe when I save them, they're going to love me. I didn't want to watch another man just die like that, like my father did. I came through with that rescuer. But when you do that at the same time, when you come through and you still looking for things, I'm like, if this person can change this, oh, they have got potential and all that. That means I'm not in love with the person that is in front of me. I am in love with an idea of who they could be. So this is why it's very important that we come back to us. What is it that I really, really want? Because a wound always wants to heal, and it will always attract people who are going to trigger it so that it can heal.
I love that. The wound always wants to heal, which is why we will get, and not being aware, in more of like a numb, unconscious, subconscious state, unconscious state, I'll say, that we will find people that are not quote unquote good for us, not because that is our full intention, but because we have a wound, and our wound has a consciousness, and our wound is saying, hey, I'm waving my hands up, this is what needs to heal. And so because you're not aware of it, we're going to expose your inner wound again until you are able to heal it and come into this alignment.
Absolutely. That's why when you move from John, then you're gonna attract Stephen, and you're gonna move again, you're gonna attract Martin, and it's the different people, but the same wound that is still finding its path.
That is so true. Thank you so much for all this. I really absolutely love this. So I'd love to go into something that you have incredible message about, and that's sexual energy. I'd love to talk about this. Was on your website, and I loved how you were talking about that sexual energy as energy of creation. And I'd like to know your perspective on this, because what we, at least we, or how I was brought up, whether it's Western culture, or whether it's just me personally, but I'm sure it's more than just me, that sexual energy is a human activity. It's an activity, but not seen the way that you see it, which is the energy of creation. So more of a spiritual context. How can you give us more awareness into what sexual energy really is?
Like you said, it's the energy of creation. It's quite interesting because even when you're talking about this, the energy that expresses in the body, just when we're touching on the topic, it goes into the solar plexus, which is our power center, right?
Yes.
So it's the energy of creation, is the energy that makes you say yes to life, is the energy of creativity. It's also connected to our purpose. This is why I say who you allow into your space, they can either elevate you or degrade you. It's not just for an activity.
Right.
It's the energy of creation. And when we look at it, even right now, just when we're gossiping about what is happening in the planet, when you look at the whole sexual trafficking, when you look at the whole sexual, all this darkness that is happening around this energy, is the highest form of currency, way more than money. This is why it's a business that the people who we call the elites and all that, they are really using it and using people and children around this energy. But we do not honor it. We are not connected to it at that level. And actually, it's not like consciously, because we have been programmed to suppress or repress it. It's something, like I said, it's something that it's quite interesting because somebody reached out to me still on this topic. But the question was more like, how can I reach that orgasm? You understand? Like, I want to get rid of it. I'm feeling this thing and I want to get rid of it instead of being with it. Because when you learn how to refocus it to what you want to create more of, it's that you create more of that. But the negative or the darkness of it is more like, I want to look for a man or a woman and then we can just sleep together and get rid of that. We do not know how to hold it within us, harness it, and redirect it to what you want to create more of. There is shame around it. It's quite interesting because, like I said, it's the highest currency, and we relate with it the way we do with money. When we have it, still there is a shame that comes with it. When we don't have it, we're still ashamed of not having it. But on the other hand, we know, especially when you're talking about like the spirituality part of it. And it's quite interesting because for me to even connect with this energy at a deeper level, first thing, as a child, there was still judgment around that. I was called a lot of things before I even knew what it is to kiss and stuff like that. It was just like the natural energy that I had. But when I started meditating, I was having orgasms in my meditations. And I was like, I now understand why some, whether it's whatever spiritual leaders that we read about, they will be, without any partner and all that, because they know how to play with it. When they're connecting to that, they're connecting to their body. And it's because it's like that key Kundalini energy. It's kind of like recycled within your body, right?
Help me understand this. I love or our listeners, and help me understand this as well. So sexual energy is obviously more than just being in our like solar plexus or our sacral chakra, our area. It's an overall energy, as you said, a kundalini energy that encompasses our entire auric field.
Yeah.
And so when we are able to harness this type of energy, we are able to be more creative with it rather than just physical with it.
Yeah.
Can we go a little deeper into that? So sexual energy being that just energy, and if we're not using it towards creation or creation of a human or creation of what we think love is, we need to have sex or sexual energy within us. If we're not using it for us, how do we harness that energy and convert it into motivation towards our career and abundance and other parts of our life?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question, but it all comes back to us being ourselves and connecting fully with our body, being present,
Okay.
because like I say, it is the energy that connects us to our body, which is like that pleasure or even the beauty, for us to see the beauty that is around, the self-expression, which is that creativity, whether it's a poem, whether it's cooking, whether it's whatever that is art, because it's still an expression, and a lot of things which could be inspiration of ideas, which is the desire that we spoke about, especially when it comes to the soul desire, the death acronym. When you go there, it's kind of like it's the desire. When you are connected to it, for instance, anchored in it, and not connected with it from the mind, which is where the activity is. When we connecting with this energy from the mind, we're thinking that I have to have sex with somebody, right? But when you are connected with it, it's also, there is two things actually. It's more grounding it, like it's connected to the heart. The two gets to connect, because when we look at it from the woman's perspective, it's kind of like the women opened this from the heart. Like this is where for them there's like that emotional connection, right?
Yes.
Which when you look at it, it's quite interesting, because not so long ago I connected with the breast. It's kind of like for a man to connect with a woman when it comes to that sexual sharing or being sexual with another. The man has to get to a woman through the heart, but I mean through the breast, but the breasts are connected to the heart, right? So when you look at it, it's kind of like the women's are connected, are holding that positive energy here on the heart, but they need to anchor it with the sacral, right? And the men have that positive energy in their sexual organs as well, and the negative energies in the heart. So when you look at it, they like, it's kind of like a man and a woman, not necessarily, or even whether depending on who has more masculine or feminine energy, when they connect with each other, it's kind of like they recharge each other. So what has been happening for a long time is that there has been, like I said, with the patriarchy and all that, it has shut the woman's womb, where it's kind of like when it comes to sex, it's more like it's just to serve men or just for procreation. And for men, it's more like just that, not from the heart, but the two work together, where it's more like that creation energy is connecting with the heart, which is also a doorway to your soul, where your vision is also is. So when it's grounded, where these two energies are connected, this is what makes it easier for you to be taking that action from that inspiration. You are led by something bigger. You feel it in your heart. You feel it in your womb. It's the desire when the two are working together, where you can redirect it to whatever that you wanna create. Otherwise, when you are not healed and it's coming from the womb, it's more like, I just want to have sex. You're just getting rid of it. Which at the same time, because there is a level of measuring that happens even when we're having an orgasm, we kind of like experiencing that temporary death. I mean, when you're talking about orgasm, we know what we're talking about here. It's like, I don't even know what the fuck happened here. You lose yourself, So when that happens, you're experiencing that spiritual death. So it's actually that spiritual death, like literally. So it more exposes you at the same time when it comes to like that spirituality. It can open you up to that deep spiritual connection, especially if at all you are anchored in your heart, and also anchored in your sacral, not just doing it from the mind. But the question is, when that happens, where are you at? What are you opening up to? Because when you're talking about openness at that level, it can even expose you to negative entities. You also merge with the person that you are with at that particular time. So when you merge with them, it's not about we are together right now having a sexual activity. It's about what happens even afterwards. We still connected. These cords still stay connected, and the people that you have been with, what energy are they holding? Are they feeding you like positively nurturing and nourishing you, or there are people who are more vampires that are sucking from your energetic fields? So there is a lot that is happening. So when you've healed all of that, like for instance, I'm someone who I never loved cooking. I don't know why, but I never did. But somehow, since I healed all that and now connected with this energy on a deeper level, I'm actually a fucking good cook. It's one of the things that comes with this energy. It's kind of like there is something that I need to use it on. If I'm not creating my programs or doing the healing, I need to do something. Sometimes it can be either writing those poems or painting. It's what calls me. But then there are times when I just want to sit it and allow it to just be in my body. And at the same time, I can go even further where I connect with exactly what I want to create, which is the same thing that I'm talking about as men. When you even making love with your partner, what is it that you are pouring into them? Because when we look at it as women, our sexual organs are inside, right? So when somebody penetrates you, what are they leaving within you? Because for men, because they are not fully expressing and they're not connected to their emotions, they're using sex to release that pent up emotion, those pent up emotions and all that. And what does that do? You may be with somebody that you fully love or whatever, but whatever that you're pouring inside them, you are living that anger. This is why like makeup sex will be like, makeup sex is good and all that. But are we intentional when we're doing that? Are you pouring love in the person that you are penetrating? What are you saying to them? Or you are just angry about something and then you are leaving them holding into that. So there is a lot that is happening here, but you get to know and experience it when you get to that level where even when you're doing something that you love, maybe we're having this conversation, or it's a conversation that turns you on, but then you are not just here, you are anchored in your sacral. You are feeling that pleasure that is just coming through, and you are not even ashamed of allowing it to just spin through, where your words, even that you say, they're coming through with that sweetness that comes from your sexual energy. You are connecting with it. And it's also, when you look at it, even, it's the frequency. It goes just beyond what we do. The frequency that we just transmit when you connect with the other person and we look into each other's eyes. There is just something that happens. And I believe you may have met somebody that you just laid your eyes on and it's kind of like, I don't know what the fuck happened here, but something deeper. That's why people are afraid of looking at each other in the eyes. And some people may be married for many years, but they have never taken time to look into each other's eyes or make love looking into each other's eyes and just allowing them to go that deep at that deeper level. Does that answer your question?
It does, on many different layers. Absolutely. Many different layers. And I absolutely love this. Thank you so much for being so open to talk about this. One thing that when we're going back to when we were talking about sexual energy being also the energy of creation, what I love about this, what I was remembering and understanding is that when I was falling in love with my girlfriend, I all of a sudden became even more creative. I sang more, I played more guitar, I did more poetry, like I wanted to cook more, and it makes sense because that's all the energy of the energy of sexuality. I've been awakened in all of the areas of my body because the sexual kundalini energy within my body is awake. And so it makes sense too that if you're in a toxic relationship, that it could possibly awaken that sexual energy in a more negative, darker aspect where somebody will maybe listen to sad songs or be creative. You're still being creative because it's still part of the sexual energy, but it's a different vibration and a different frequency. So I just love this. This is
I
really
love
amazing.
that. You are on it, because what I say is this is the energy of multiplication. The question is, where are you using it? If you're in a toxic relationship, hello, enjoy, because you are multiplying the toxicity of that, and you miss that toxicity when that person is not with you, and you're just gonna go and create that scarcity. I have people who come to me and they'll be like, my business was doing well. I don't know what happened, but I know that the last time I had sex with somebody, but then things started going down. What has just happened there? Right? So we get to be, I feel like this is like education that should be even in schools. It's not like for instance, growing up, It was more like, oh, when you sleep with a boy, you're gonna get pregnant, and then there is all this disease that we talk about, which of course that is important. But what we forget is the importance of the sexual energy and also the energetics that comes with that. And I'll just give you an example, even going deeper with this energy. I was working with this other woman. When I say as parents as well, we are spiritual guardians to our children. I was working with this other woman, and she mentioned her child's name, and when she did, just because of the way I do my work, just mentioning that name, I could connect with the daughter. And I felt a lot of heartache. This woman was in a very toxic relationship. So I could feel the child's pain and everything. And I offered to help the child. And when I dug deep, I realized that there is something that is happening here. There is, what can I call it? An entity, an attachment that has been running in the family, like with the grandmother, the mother, like is sleeping with these people. And now it was sleeping with this child, right? And you can imagine, this is what we call, sometimes people call it spiritual wife, husband, whatever, those attachment. There is a lot of darkness around that.
Sure.
And
Oh, yeah.
they survive in with the sexual energy, which causes a lot of discordancy in someone's energetic fields. And imagine when something like that starts with a child who is young, 8 years, 7 years, 10 years, and when a child is speaking like something is not right, or maybe something happens, maybe like discharges, many discharges, not like it's a child, but what could have happened? Sometimes it's not like what we think is, which is like just the physical issues and all that. It's deeper than that.
Yeah, absolutely deeper than that.
Yeah.
Wow, this is really incredible. I love that we're talking about this. I've never talked about this before on my podcast. So really great that we're having this incredible episode here. I've already learned so much, and I've taken some incredible notes here to fully embrace yourself, connect to yourself. The death, we talked about death, desires of the soul, emotions, alignment, truth, and heaven or hell. You know, another word I had to highlight this. You mentioned soul confidence. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that you said that. How can we live with more soul confidence?
Yes, right. Like I said, and here's the thing. I said I was born a queen. I just had that confidence in me. And there was a time when I was also maximizing that, but it was more not the soul one. It was more like just a mask of it. But when time comes, like, okay, fine, you wanted this, now you have it. I was like, oh shit, now they're gonna know that I'm just being fake. But then it's another thing when you connect deeply, and it's one of the things that I in the post that I shared today to say, like, who we are is not a mistake, right? Just knowing that you are not, it's not a mistake that you are here, and it doesn't matter what you're going through, and it's time that we get to just honor ourselves and just know that we are built for something, and it doesn't have to look like your neighbor or your partner or anything. Who are we? And when you connect to that within us, that truth that is coming within us, because even like living in that truth and in that line, in alignment with that, that's what activates that soul confidence, which is soul confidence is also that I have you. It doesn't matter what is happening, I have you. And it activates that inner conviction. And conviction is one of the frequency that when you embody it and you walk with it, people either follow you or get the fuck out of the way. Because you are here and you don't care whether somebody's saying yes to you or no. You know that what you are meant to do is going to work out no matter what. They say no and you go ahead. You know that another door is going to open. That's the magic of embodying that soul confidence.
What I love about this is a different perspective than being confident as just your human body, your human self, because the soul encompasses your mind and your body and your spirit. So, I mean, you're encompassing mind, body, soul. Spirit is soul confidence is encompassing spirit, mind, and body. That's
Yes.
really beautiful. I
And
love
for
it.
me, I also believe when you're talking about power, you are not in your power until you align your personality with your soul.
Wow. That's when you're in your full power. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. Gao, thank you so much for your incredible wisdom, your light, and sharing your energy here on a Little Lester podcast. I'd like to share a poem with you that I wrote dedicated to you in this podcast episode.
Yes.
Awesome. So I don't normally title poems right from the start. Sometimes the title comes later, but this came with no title at the moment. But I guess actually there is a title now. It's called My Inner Tiger. That's what it's called. Okay,
I love
here we
it.
go. Here we go. Breaking down walls and a web of generational handcuffs, I delve deep into what I am made of. Damage from the past does not and will not define me, for what is truth is that of which I carry a torch of warm love that heals me and others who come in contact with a warm embrace. Releasing toxicity from my lineage, I learned where my true power lies, and in my power, I awaken the confidence of my inner tiger. You really helped me create this poem, so thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so
Really.
much. I really love it. And it's quite interesting because as you're just reciting this, what is coming through is like one vision that I had where there were pictures on the wall. But when I came through, these pictures were taken down from the walls and being put down. I was like, it's kind of like you have to just go right on these pictures. And it's more
Wow.
like just that energy of those people who came before us, instead of just decorating with that pictures, is just knowing that they came here. We're gonna step on them so that they can propel us forward. Right. They didn't
Yeah.
go through what they went through for nothing. They went through that shit so that we can really accelerate our growth, so that we can take the baton
Yes.
to the finish line. So it's kind of like that's what came through as you're saying this, to say it's a lot, and it's not only one person that has to go through it. It's the power of those even who went through us, and indeed awakening that inner tiger within us. Yeah,
Well,
that's
you
beautiful.
obviously took that to another beautiful poem of yourself. Thank you so much for thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. You gave me some incredible visuals there too. I love that. You know, our ancestors, they're definitely here to show us what needs attention to heal, because in healing us, we heal our generations. There's got a ripple effect and a domino effect. So that's really
Absolutely.
beautiful that we're able to do this as well. How can our viewers, our watchers, and our listeners get a hold of you?
That's a good question. And here's one thing that I just want to say. Like I
Yes.
said in the beginning, there's a lot
Yes.
of information, and I believe you know that as much as I love it when you follow me, I'm not really a big fan of that, because when you follow, you're just gonna be in the background and just reading information like everybody does. So I want you
Yeah.
to do something that is different. Book
Ooh.
the call. If you feel that yes, you are feeling it in your body. If at all you are listening to your body, you are feeling that, yes. And for you to really know, because clarity is a frequency on its own, is activation. And quite interesting, because I was talking about this yesterday. I don't know if I posted something about it. Often people claim that they're not getting this help, the support from the universe, from people, but that's not true.
Mhm.
If you do not know what you want, it's hard for you to ask for help. Because there is a young lady she told me that no one is helping me. I have this problem, like she's sick and a lot of stuff. And I was like, At first, I wanted to invite her to one of my 3 days retreat, which I just completed last week. And then I was like, I don't know if she really needs this. I wanted to send her something. I was like, no. And I was like, what do you think would really serve you? What kind of support do you need? What I can tell you is that up to now, she has not responded.
Because
And
she doesn't know.
she doesn't know what she wants. And
Mhm.
people often are quick to say, I don't get help. And when you get an opportunity where you are being asked to book a call, because I think you may have seen in my website where I'm saying book a call if you really are interested in my programs. The reason why I'm doing that is because, and I'm opening the floor here to say, just because of Dr. Lino being an amazing, my favorite person, even though we met together and I love him, I'm just opening the door to say, book a call. I've had amazing transformation happen in this call, because it's also my way of giving to the community. I'm not gonna sit down and tell you what the heck is going on in your body without doing anything. Some people have gotten some changes just from the call, and within a year, actually, it was quite interesting with another lady. Just a year of the month we had that call, that same year, next day, she was getting married. So, and we didn't work together. She just came for a breakthrough call. So now imagine when you just take it further. Following is great, but don't just follow. Take that inspired action. Listen to your soul, because this also affects the guidance, the intuition that is coming through. Often people be like, oh, my intuition is, your intuition is always guiding you, but you are not listening because you don't take action. And what's the point of that guidance coming through if you are not listening to it? So that's what I want to end up with. I'm available at gaomotsemme.com. There is a link that Dr. Lynn is going to share with you as well.
Yes.
And I'm available in Facebook as Gao Motsemme, Instagram, Gao Motsemme dot magnetic confidence or dot confidence, something like that. So you can find me anywhere.
Yeah,
But
I'll be
really
putting all of
appreciate
this
jump on the call.
information in the show notes for everybody as
Yes.
well. Absolutely. Well, Gao, the queen, thank you so much for being on A Little Less Fear podcast. What a blessing to connect with your incredible, beautiful energy, your kundalini, your sexual energy. And thank you so much for sharing it here on A Little Less Fear podcast. Thank you.
My pleasure. And I wish you all a wonderful, magical, and orgasmic day.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to A Little Less Fear podcast. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends and your family about A Little Less Fear podcast. And if you are interested in being on my show, feel free to leave me an email at alittlelessfear@gmail.com. Or if you have any questions or comments and you also want to leave me an additional message, you can also do so from my website, leaving an inquiry at www.alittlelessfear.com. You can get a copy of my book on Amazon, Amazon Kindle, and Amazon Kindle Unlimited, also titled A Little Less Fear. And thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate all the support. Leave me a review if you get a chance. I love to receive feedback, questions, and comments. And any way that I can be of support to you, please let me know. Thank you so much. I love you. Wishing you love, light, happiness, and many blessings your way.